how to heal the inner child. What is the inner child? Devi Ma, how do we heal the inner child? Question that comes so often. Beloved, the inner child is not a being inside of you. It is just a reflection of your impression, your karmic impression, what we call samskara, and your tendency that have been accumulated when you were a child. When you grew up, you have repressed all those wounds. So it really represents all your deep wound, and how to heal it is so liberating. So in this video, we're going to look at the 5 steps to completely free yourself from the suffering and the pain and the misery that your inner child is pulling your string from the conditioning and the accumulation from your environment. Because when you were a child, you were so vulnerable. You could not deal with the here and now. You could not deal with all the drama and maybe some abuse. And so we're going to look deep into this. This is going to be fascinating, so stay tuned. Let's get to it right now. So the first step to heal your inner child is to become mindful, to become aware. What are the wounds? Because the reality, there is no such a thing as an inner child. What there is the karmic structure that you have repressed when you were in your earlier tender year. You couldn't deal emotionally and mentally with everything, whatever it was, the event in your life, if it was dysfunction or abuse or violence or sexual abuse, whatever it was, any kind of trauma, anything, all your dreams, your fears, what you could not cope with as a child was repressed. So, beloved, karmic structure is just a memory. We have talked about that in other video, and it's important you understand that, because wounds, deep wounds, are karmic structure that have been repressed deep down into your inner being. And so it's a karma, and the karma was not processed, was not healed. And so now the first tool is to become mindful and aware. What are my deep wounds? What caused this expression that I'm experiencing today in my life, such as fear, anxiety attack, or tendency to depression, or it could have been low self-esteem, low confidence, insecurity. Does that ring a bell? That is so common in today's world, especially growing up in a dysfunctional family. Have you grown up in a dysfunctional family? Did you go through a family where you were unloved, or maybe there was a divorce, they were fighting? So all of this will cause the consequences, because that's what karma is. It's the memory of it that was repressed within your physical body and subtle body, and that has not been processed. To liberate that energetically, because it needs to be lived and expressed. And Devi Ma has so much experience on this. In my days, we're talking about so long ago, so many decades ago, when I healed my own wounds, my own inner child, which leads us to the ingredient tool number 2, and I will tell a little bit some story here. Number 2 is when you are mindful and aware what they are, and what's causing the damage in your life today? Are you attracting the wrong relationship, abusive relationship, codependent relationship, narcissistic relationship, dysfunctional relationship, love relationship that cause you so much pain, so much hardship? So number 2 is to, when you know what are the wounds, you have become aware of them, and you know what is causing you in your life, now you can embrace the feelings, the emotion, and help process that. And one of the great tools Devi Ma used to do when I was in my late 20s, so many decades ago, it's like a different lifetime today. I used to take my own inner child. I call her the little Vivi, because in those days it was Vivi. Vivi was Devi Ma's nickname, and she's far gone today. She has been demolished in so many ways, in the most phenomenal way. Some of you know, if you have read Becoming the Light, Radiate, Realizer to Enlightened Nature. This is so insightful, this major book that I brought to the world. And I talk about this and that. So call in your inner child. You're doing it through a meditation, visualization, and call in your inner child and trust your intuition, trust your inner knowing. And you will see your inner child, how she or he will behave. Sometimes she might stay in the dark, she might not come out. Sometimes he or she might be running and come right straight into your own arm and be a parent to it. And you know, it's a visualization, it's a meditation. It's not like this being exists, because it's a healing. The fastest you get rid and process those wounds and heal them, the fastest you will liberate yourself from having an inner child, because no one wants to carry an inner child as an adult, because that inner child will drive your life miserable. You will go by the puppet string of those wounds. So you want to get rid of this. So I would call my inner child, the little Vivi, and in the beginning she would not show up. And sometimes she would come running and cry, and I would hold her. So you do the same. Hold your inner child and tell beautiful affirmation. I'm here for you. I love you. You're so beautiful. I will never abandon you. I will always be there for you, and reassure you in a style. So in step number 2, and do it regularly, several times during the day when you feel emotion coming, anxiety, you're nurturing your own being with those emotions. You can even call the Ascended Master, and with them you hold this little child that you were. Again, it's not someone that exists, it's just the memory of it. It's to process and change the samskar. The samskara is the impression. So what you're doing at this point, beloved, you are changing and processing the samskar, the impression. You infusing it with a higher vibration of healing, of unconditional divine love, with affirmation, with visualization. And Devi Ma did that for probably for 6 months, maybe a year, not even a year, because it was, the spiritual ascension was accelerated. And just realize also that step number 2, it is also the very beginning of your spiritual awakening, because the first phase of spiritual awakening is exactly that, is to become mindful and embracing your wounds, embracing those emotions of your tender years, to purify it and get rid of that garbage, all the conditioning, everything that was dysfunction everything that was inculcated to you, accumulated, all the drama that you had to go through as a child that you could not cope with. And so the beauty of it is realize it's a blessing, because the sooner, the faster is the healthiest way to grow spiritually and to heal. And so step 3 is, when you start going through the process, is you embark on the spiritual path and you become fully proactive of your healing, meaning you seek guidance, you embark on the spiritual path, you do meditation, you do Kriya Yoga. Kriya Yoga, I've talked about that in other video, it really empower you to purify all the karmic structure that is holding you back from being fully happy, joyous, and free. And it's to embrace those emotions with compassion and to foster a healthy relationship between yourself. So you need to have empathy, deep empathy and compassion for your own being, to realize that you be a divine parent for yourself. Right, beloved? So, and then seek the guidance you need, because it's important that you're surrounded by a spiritual community. You have the divine spiritual guidance, and especially walking on the spiritual path is absolutely essential, because what happened when the inner child is being healed, you get rid of a lot of karmic structure, tremendous amount of karmic structure. And so you have started the spiritual awakening stage, all the phases. And by the way, if you haven't seen those video, it's coming up next at the end of those video. The 6 breathtaking spiritual awakening phases, please watch it. You must watch them, both of them, because it's a blessing that you healing your inner child is the first phase. So the ingredient number 4, or tool or step, you could say, of healing is forgiveness. Forgiveness to yourself. You were just a child. You were just a baby. Whatever happened, you couldn't cope with it. Surrender it to God, whatever you may call it, to the divine. Devi Mayi said the Divine Mother. It doesn't matter. Surrender. Go into complete let go and forgive yourself, and especially forgive the people that you feel who have hurt you or harmed you. Not voluntarily, not intentionally, or maybe they did. But when you understand that they were handicapped, this is how Devi Ma saw it with my own father. And I will tell you, when I was telling you I was healing my own inner child, I was completely heartbroken. I was, 29 years old? Like, you're talking about like over 35 years ago, and maybe a little less, and I was madly in love with this man, and he had 2 teenagers, and I really thought he was the love of my life, and we were going to get married, and it just opened up a volcano. It was so huge, and I fell into a deep depression, and some of you know, it's all in my major book. But this is when I started to really let go of all the dysfunction of my family, and especially my father, and the forgiveness. Step number 4, forgive. I hadn't seen my father for 18 years. He left when I was 12 years old. And I grew up in an awful, terrible, dysfunctional family. Our father was very abusive, verbally and physically and emotionally, and caused so much damage to. And when he left, it was such a tragedy. All the details are in the book. I mean, it could be like a film, like a movie. And he left and he almost ran over my mother and my two sisters when he was in the car, and it was right in the middle of the night, and caused so much trauma. And as a child, you can't cope with this, so you repress it. And this is how you fall into severe depression. Most people suffer from depression or anxiety attack because they haven't processed the karma. And so I knew inside of me, I was the inner knowing. Already then, there was so much wisdom. And I decided I was going to find my father and forgive him. After all the things he had done, and I loved him so much, and my heart was so broken by our childhood, you know, all the things, how he used to slap us with the bell and we would get wealth and bruised everywhere. I mean, it's like a story like you would not believe it, taking us, especially my being, slamming us on the wall and like a baseball bat. It's hard to forgive, but the power of forgiveness is the most liberating. Because energetically you free the person, but especially you free yourself. Free yourself from the karma. Karma is not a system of reward and punishment. It's just a cause and effect. It's just a memory. So energetically, when you forgive, you free yourself from it. You clean the slate, in other words. You have processed it, the memory is gone, it doesn't hold any memory over you. And whatever is that event in your life could have caused low self-esteem, could have caused insecurity, could have made you feel unworthy. Does it sound familiar to you? It's the story I hear by so many of followers. Beloved one is rampant on our planet. And so that day I decided I have to find my father. I hadn't talked to him, and the whole story is in the book. It's very moving. I can go into all the details because this video would be an hour. But I asked my sister where he was. She knew, and I called him over in the blue like that, and I talked to him. I said, Papa, I need to see you. I have to come and see you. I didn't want him to die and not free him and free myself. And when I flew to see him, and when we were there together with my sister, was so deep, so beautiful, how we all joined together. And at one point after dinner, he invited us at his house. He stood up, and I stood up, and I ran into his arm, and I took him, and I hugged him, and I said, you, my papa, I will always love you no matter what, and whatever happened, I forgive you. I forgive you because I understand where you're coming from. I really did understood that he was projecting his own suffering. He was projecting his own pain, his own misery, because it's a pattern. That's what karma is. There is the karma within what we call the kula, the clan, and that's a word in Sanskrit. It's transmitted from generation to generation, like drug addict, the same thing. It's transmitted. So if you come from a place of deep compassion and of deep love, and you surrendered to God, you surrendered. And by the way, if you haven't watched that video also, check this out. That's another video you should look at, attuning yourself with divine grace. Because when you are in a state of surrender, especially through forgiveness. It can be very hard to forgive, but it will free you. I can guarantee you, it will free you energetically. It will free you, and a lot of those puppet string will disappear. They will be cut. You will be free from a lot of all those negative imprint it's holding you back from blossoming like a beautiful lotus, and be happy and experiencing your divine presence and your true nature. And then you're allowing grace to come into your life. Now, the last one, but before we go there, if you love this video and you feel like it resonates with you, click the like button and share it with your friends and your family who might be going through hardship, we're experiencing similar than you are, and who need help and guidance. Come to Devi's Grace and check out Becoming the Light Inner Journey program and reading the Light Advance program, because it will really empower you to blossom, to expand your consciousness, to break boundaries, and not only to heal, because this is just a healing. After that comes empowerment. After that comes transformation, to experience your true divine nature that is full of joy and bliss and happiness. So part of the step number 4 also is to rekindle that healthy relationship within yourself. And the self-talk that is healthy, not the voice of your parents, not the voice of your conditioning, but the voice of your inner divine parent. So you're fostering this positive relationship with yourself, and with compassion and empathy, which lead us to number 5. See, be in the moment, celebrate life, and bring back that childlike on and wonderment. You know, a 5-year-old child is in complete wonderment. Everything is beautiful. A cat playing outside, or a deer passing by, or swimming, or walking, or painting, or riding. Everything you love when you were an adolescent or a child. Bring back that sense of curiosity, of liveliness, and a sense of wonderment. Everything is new, a flower blossoming. Everything is beautiful, because a child sees everything anew with a new sense of perspective. And that's also what the spiritual path gives you. As you evolve, as you break boundaries, you start to awaken a part of yourself that you didn't even know. Make new discovery, become aware of new gift about yourself. And to experience bliss, because bliss is real. It's our true nature. So step number 5 is to be in a state of oneness, what we call a Zen, existential, to live in the here and now. And it's actually quite easy and simple, but most people can't do that on their own. They have to retrain themselves to be a child again. It just means get rid of garbage, get rid of all you have accumulated, all those ego identification, and free yourself. So come to Devi's Grace. Devi Ma is here for you to help you empower yourself and discover all the beauty and the treasure you have into yourself. And are you, write in the comment section, are you starting to awaken spiritually? Are you going to that stage of healing your inner child? Or are you there now going through this? What is it in this video that really struck you the most important point? Write it down in the comment section and just share it, because I'm sure you have friends who are suffering right now unnecessary and free yourself from those puppet strings. And stay away from romantic relationship. That's one I didn't mention I think in step number 3. In step number 3 is when you embrace those emotions while you go through this healing process. Stay away from a romantic relationship. I completely forgot to say that, because unless you're already in one, but most likely it's not a healthy one. And I'm sure this will resonate. Codependency is very common. Abusive relationship pattern, attracting a narcissistic person into your life is very common. So if you're going to heal beautifully, is best that you stay away from a romantic relationship. It's just temporarily, because while you go through this, you might end up attracting the wrong person. And I did that when I went through my journey, the darkness of the soul, when I started to go through a phenomenal spiritual awakening. Even though I was quite awakened before, I stay away from romantic relationship for like probably 4 years. It was the healthiest things to do. Discover the beauty of you, who you are. So write down in the comment section what really struck a chord inside of you. And Devi Ma is here for you.